Barbara Sharone here. It's good to see you. And as people come in, they just come in. But I thought that would be good being a small, intimate group. Let me tell you what we used to do for a number of years. It was called the in-service gathering of light workers. Okay. And that was early on, that was about started as like 9 years ago when the center first started. And a part of that was part of an experience I had with the Divine Mother. So I'm just going to look at this side on the left, which is when you fold it as a program, it's in the back and explains what the in-service of gathering light workers and purpose is. So I'll just read it. The purpose of the cosmic in-service is to create a sacred and spiritually infused environment to make a conscious connection with the ascended masters and other beings of light to assist in the unfolding of the divine plan on earth. 2, use our divine abilities to co-create the higher world vision of peace and unity, which we have the power to do that. And 3, to increase our light quotient, our capacity to hold light. Okay, so we have a chat here. So let me see what the chat says. Yes, good morning, guys. Wonderful. Okay, so by means of invocation, prayer, meditation, and sound, divine energies can be released and brought into activity. Light workers and star seeds of all faiths, nations, and backgrounds can join together in world service by aligning their consciousness with their own higher Christed selves and that of the celestial host of beings. The hierarchy of the ascended masters and other beings of light who work on multidimensional layers of evolution work to guide us into the light of our own souls, and together we bring forth God's plan in the creation of a new golden age of enlightenment for our world. By choosing to consciously serve as a bridge of light between heaven and earth, which is what we do, you become an anchor of light to our world and join others to hold the light and create the higher world vision for our planet, humanity, and all of life. We remember our spiritual power and that we are divine co-creators. We can choose to hold an unshakable faith in the light, unconditional love and goodness of the divine, even as beliefs and circumstances change. We are able to see beyond the illusion and create the world we want. We intentionally focus on and thereby create the path of love and light, knowing that all are one. As we travel this path to our planet's ascension, in so serving, you are gifted with the light of the Christ. Now, I'm going to read this next thing here, and this is real important because it ties into what I'm going to talk about today. Walk the middle path, holding the polarities in balance, non-judgment, unconditional love. But this was a quotation. I'll just read it. This is the message from Mother Mary received in an altered state on June 1st, 2010. This advice, I believe, will truly guide us through any and everything. It is by being centered that we will be able to discern correctly through the open heart of unconditional love and pick up clearly the divine guidance that seeks to reach us. All right, so that's what I said back at the time. So I did have this experience in 2010, and actually I had gone in what was known as a sound bed. That was with Reverend Robin Richardson, and went into like a very deep meditation with her assistance. And I had this whole experience where I found myself walking up like rocks. And it was like water coming down on the rocks. But as I was walking, all I could see was what was in front of me. And it was these rocks that had water running down on them. And, my thing was to walk, climb up these rocks. And so as I'm climbing up the rocks, some way along the journey, this white Pegasus, the horse with the wings, it was all white. It came up, let me see, it was to my left. And it was like it's there to assist me. I knew that. So I got in this Pegasus, and instead of me having to climb all the way up on my own, to wherever this was leading to, it brought me there. And that's where I got off of this Pegasus. And I was in this like air temple. It was very ethereal, very airy. It was beautiful. It was just, I can't even describe how beautiful it was. But interestingly enough, I ended up like some months or weeks later, I believe, finding a picture that absolutely emulated my experience. In fact, I also found a plastic white Pegasus horse. So, talk about confirmation, what are the, where do you walk into a store and buy a white little plastic Pegasus horse and see the temple that you just experienced? So, but that did happen. So, but anyway, getting back to the experience itself. So while I'm in this beautiful, beautiful place, I could see like sort of high up and in the distance, but within the temple, because it was a huge, temple, like a diamond. It was a diamond shape there, and in it was a figure. And I'm kind of trying to discern or look and see who's in the figure. And it looked to be a woman. And in my mind, I thought it to be Mother Mary, but we could say the Divine Mother. But in my mind, I was brought up Catholic. So Mother Mary was an important part, and I have a personal relationship with her. So in my mind, I would say Divine Mother, but in my mind, I actually said, oh, that was Mother Mary. And I've had experiences with her in the past too. So it was not like, strange or uncommon. So telepathically, this is what was presented. And this is how I what's the word, interpreted this telepathic sense of what she was saying. And that was to walk the middle path. Because what she was saying, which is not indicated here, she was indicating to me that in the future, there would be extreme polarities, very, very extreme. And also too, with extreme polarities can cause civil wars as well as regular wars. And so what she was saying is that she needs light workers to please hold the polarities in balance. That was what this experience was about, that she needs somebody to hold the polarities in balance. So that's why it says walk the middle path, holding the polarities in balance, non-judgment, unconditional love. And so she said, how are you going to do that? And so it's so interesting. I'm bringing this up today. I had the chance to talk about it, which, I'm not doing the open heart divine healing service. So it's a way of really kind of going in depth into this, dynamic that we've done for years. Is that she said that there will be the time of the extreme polarities, potential for wars, both civil and world war. She said that she needed someone, or she needed, light workers, star seeds, people to hold the polarities in balance, meaning that you cannot get involved or engaged in the lower drama that's taking place. I mean, everything she said is unfolding right now. I mean, I just see it. So since 2010, I have always been saying, look, no matter what's going on politically or otherwise, you can't get caught up in that mire, because it contributes to the decisiveness and the polarity swings. And, this, what you see, what's going on. And that what Divine Mother said is this, okay, what you need to do is not get caught up in that, but come from the neutral observer, which I've been practicing that, which is why I encourage everybody to that we cannot get, that was her thing. Do not get caught up in that back and forth swing, because, from my personal observation, it's created to be decisive. There's certain things that absolutely, when you know the larger picture of things, that it's like purposeful for it to be decisive and to cause division. So if you're aware of that, why would you even participate in it? Okay. And then many other layers of things came after that. I had an experience separate from this, where I was shown that humans are being manipulated through their human nature, through their emotional nature. that they're being manipulated that way. And that somehow it has to do with the reptilian brain, an ancient part of our brain. Anyhow, the bottom line on that one was, there is a spiritual dynamic taking place, and some people want to call, good and evil, or whichever way they want to do it. But, there are these, two spiritual polarities that are taking place also on our planet. So what the divine mother's recommendation was that how you're going to get through this is non-judgment and unconditional love. You just have to be loving, and you cannot judge. I always say, justice is mine, saith the Lord. Okay, I don't have to worry about that. It'll be taken care of. You're tapping into these higher levels of yourself. We have like new rules and guidelines. It's not the rules and guidelines of the earthly dimension. And many times what we need, we will attract. We don't have to go running after it. These are certain qualities that when you're on a spiritual path, you start developing these things. So it's like you have new rules. You don't have to be caught up in the earthly mana of things, the Maya of illusion. So this is important. And so, for example, since 2010, I would not engage in those things, on the internet. People would have like, a smoker, non-smoker, male, female, Republican, Democrat, a military, non-military, anything like that. I would not engage in any back and forth or passing on anything through the internet, because I could not participate. Divine Mother said, do not participate. Tell others not to participate in that. We have to bring the unity, and as she calls it, the middle path of holding the two polarities into balance. That's our JOB. And, not saying it's not easy to get caught up in that emotionally. It's real easy. Okay. I've heard of people kicking in the TV because they watch the news. It could get pretty testy out there. And so, we have to reserve our energy. You only have but X amount of energy per day. So what are we going to put it on? I think the wisest thing to do is to really focus it again from that neutral observer, from that higher spiritual perspective, and hold the balance and non-judgment and unconditional love. That creates a powerful energetic. If we could get people to do that, the more people that can do that, we can shift things, because we already know, okay, that we are co-creators. And now even more understandably, and I most certainly understand this, we're not only just co-creators, we're powerful co-creators. We have a lot of power. That's been the big illusion of Maya, is to think that somehow we are powerless, or we don't have enough power, or things are just so overwhelming, and we're just these little gnats of humanity, and how can we impact? Well, wrong, 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 wrong. Okay, that's the agenda to make us feel that way. The truth is that, as Jesus the Christ came and said, as I can do, you can do too. In fact, we have lots of power. And depending on your path and where you are in your ability to hold the light quotient, which I talked about, the ability to hold light. Okay, just as Jesus demonstrated, the divine Maitreya, the Buddha, Zoroaster, and many others, that as you hold more light, okay, as you're able to do that, you have more impact on the world, in your environment, and on circumstances. So if you get a group of people like that together, okay, and focus their energy, okay, tremendous things happen. Now, I know uh, the both of you are aware of the fact that um, we do the names of God. Okay, the names of God, which is a powerful tool. And in the names of God, we have an intention, and we shift timelines. We absolutely do. Now, we may not be able to, shift some ancient stuff that's been going on, and, but we most certainly can influence everything. And in fact, I'm going to be looking to do another gathering of light workers using the names of God, and do what it is that we do. to try to move through the ascension process, as easy as possible. And, a lot of times it is disheartening because we do come together and it looks like, is anything happening? And I'm going to say to you, yes, it is. One of the things that is happening that, I've been told, I was, impressed with, is that even though we're seeing stuff here in the physical level, mental and emotional, what's going on in the world, all the prayers of people, who hold a vision for a world of peace, to the end of suffering, to wars and all of that, misuse of power. All those people who pray for that throughout time. Okay, the ones that are praying for it now. Many of us have come back again. We've been on this path, not just in lifetime, but in many lifetimes. So this is like a continuum also. And that it is being created on a higher level. I was told that if we could see our hearts dreaming, that what we are co-creating, okay, is absolutely beautiful and magnificent. And that is in the co-creation process. That process is taking place and it will happen upon this physical experience. It's coming. The golden age is coming. Okay. How it's going to land, okay, is dependent on the collective consciousness of humanity. And that's why, we are all here to wake up everybody. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. And what we're going to do over here, we're just going to start with the with some prayers. We're going to start with the great invocation. So let's all say that together. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of men. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of men. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide the little wills of men, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center which we call the race of men, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth. And so the ascension, our individual and our collective ascension, what is this all about? Well, it's bringing forth the divine plan. And in the great invocation, it indicates, okay, what this is about. It says it is from the center where the will of God is known. It talks about, may the Christ consciousness return to earth. This is the purpose which the masters know and serve. And they talk about from the race of men, okay, us, let the plan of love and light work out. And may it seal the door where evil dwells. Because there is now, this may be a touchy subject to some, but let's talk about evil for a moment. And there are people, and some people I know, and wise and loving people, but they're like, oh, evil is not real. Evil is, you're conjuring up in your mind. And when you bring attention to it, that's what evil is, but evil of itself is not real. Well, according to the Gnostic Gospels and many other, deep spiritual and religious writings from all cultures say that there is an evil that does exist. It's not just on the earth. It's beyond the earth. And if you study Kabbalah, you have the Azaluth worlds and you have the different worlds. And it's almost like it could be, you could say, part of it is where as you move away from that one eternal light, that it's not as bright. And so other things can come in, like maybe to corrupt it as further away that you go away from it. That can be one, that is one thought. At some point, there was a decision way beyond our world experience, where the whole idea was divine will, And you have what the Gnostics call the archons. That's, some of them like, hey, I can create, I can co-create. In fact, I can create these worlds. And they're like, hey, I can do this. I don't need, the El Elyon, the God of God. I'm a demigod. I could do this myself. And so the story goes something like that in various traditions, most certainly in the Christian tradition. They talk about the fallen angels, and then also too, there was the loss of the filament. There was a time where, the we could talk to the gods. So something happened that caused a separation with that. And this alludes to what the divine plan is all about. So before I get started on that, I did also want to say Gabriel's divine love and golden light invocation. So let's say that all together, and then we will go into discussion further. And you can ask questions because it's going to be that kind of service. Okay. So let's do Gabriel's divine love and golden light invocation. I invite the divine love and golden light active in the Christ consciousness to flow gracefully through me and anchor upon the earth. I now ask for an awakening connection within my DNA to divine love, compassion, and light from the highest source to the 12 strands of DNA within me, creating the full helix of light that activates my 12 chakra system. I ask for my soul's alignment to all the divine love and light that I can receive for the good of my evolution and the evolution of the earth at this time. I invite the assistance of the angels, archangels, masters, and awakening, and all the beings of light who work for my awakening to be with me in this process. May all beings awaken to their divine potential and bring the presence of divine love into their hearts. May evermore grace flow through us all to bless this planet. May the earth be honored in a new way that allows our beautiful planet to thrive. May every heart feel the gifts of this loving presence within them so peace may prevail on earth. Thank you, God, for this and all our blessings. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. Okay, I'm going to stop the share now. Oh, hello. We have other people here too. Oh, it's wonderful to see you all here. Okay, so I said I wanted to talk more about the divine plan. So, giving the cosmic history, if you will, of our planet, but it's not just our planet. It is also our solar system, other solar systems within our own galaxy, our Hunamku, the Milky Way galaxy, and also the universe. So I have to tell you, early on, all of this is being discovered and unfolded and enlightened and consciousness and like, oh my gosh. And, I had an experience many years ago where I was given the Book of Earth, and I think it was Toth, one of my first mentors. And, I opened the book and it was done like not reading, it was a whole, experience with it. And it was done not even in hieroglyphics, but in colors. And it spoke to me emotionally. And I would just remember being like, really shocked, like, oh my gosh, why is this really happening? I can't believe it, So that's that whole like awakening on my part that, hey, there's some other stuff that's going on over here. And, remember that we have co-creational abilities. And hey, where do you go to step up and remember this? Because this is what the Ascendant Masters did. The Ascendant Masters, that we call, the Great White Brotherhood or the Family of Light or whatever, how you want to pronounce it, they too have walked the earth and they have experienced their own individual ascension. Now, was really nice because these guys are just wonderful. Like, Kuan Yin, I mean, she's the ascended master such compassion. And Lord Lento was so loving that he actually had a son, in his physical body. That's how, he, powerful he was. And there are actually also living masters, that are on the planet right now. I know of one and who lives in Siberia, between Siberia and Tibet. It's not somebody that you can say, oh, let me go online and find them. It's very quiet, but as quiet as it is, that master is doing what that master is doing. There's a whole lot of things, us as well as other beings, that are all part of this divine plan. Okay, and the divine plan alludes to bringing our planet, in fact, the entire solar system. We're not just like the little Earth, we are even more powerful than that. It's taken the entire universe. Okay, now we can't do this by ourselves, obviously. We're working with the family of light. We're working with, the Christ. We're working with the order of Melchizedek. We're working with the order of Michael, Michaelu. We're working with the order of angels, the Malachim, the Ophanim. We're working with the angels of the principles. So many. It is just, huge. So they say the myriad of angels. I mean, really, it's huge. So we're part of that. We're part of them. However this division happened and why it happened, well, we'll just put that on the shelf for the moment. Why it happened, we don't know. All I can say is that somehow we are involved in this cosmic dynamic, and our role is to align ourselves, with the Yod He Vod He, or El Elyon, which is the original source, the Ein Sof or light, which is the original light. These are the Azimuth worlds, and above that, which is the unknowable. So let's, we are real clear, on what we're aligning ourselves with. Okay, not the other little stradations of light. There's many stradations of light. And there's many, many, co-creators, what you so-call the demigods. Okay, there's tons and tons of those. And you have some of them, which of course, are loving and caring and benevolent. You have that too. Okay, but you also have the ones that are not, so ego, pride, power, they're just like, we want to be the antithesis of whatever the God of love is. We're just decide we're going to be the opposite of that. And there are people that are like that too. I'm going to be the opposite of you, so, and then in addition to that, it gets to a point where where um uh in these levels of creation, they forgot, just like how we forgot that we are actually have been come into our existence on the highest of aeons. I mean, the Adman Kadmon is the divine human. That doesn't originate from here, from this level. That's way up there. And the so-called right hand of God, which may be saying the ascended realms, not the fallen realms, that's our birthright. That's where we come from. And so some other part of us in this physical body or the animal body or whatever that whole story is, how we got here, we still hold the sparks of light of the Admin Kadmon, the divine supreme one, the original of originals. That's what we're part of. And there are those consciousness that are out there that you could say are very jealous of who we are as these humans that carry this divine light in us, that have the capacity of feelings, to have empathy and caring, so we are, and again, a humanity, this Admin Kadmon blueprint, if you will, humanity, we're just the surface humans that are on the planet, on the top of the planet. We're just surface. There are humans on the inside as well as other types of beings, but a humanity is just out there throughout throughout our universe, throughout the constellations, throughout many other different worlds. We're not the only humanity that's out there. So we are, however, at the level of development that we find ourselves in terms of the evolution or the devolution of the planet, that it kind of went down some steps, and so now we're starting again, and we have a dynamic where you have those forces that want us to keep where we are because they're in charge, and somehow they get a benefit from causing chaos and having strife and suffering. There's a benefit that they get. And there is, however, so much more, okay, as we're the light in the end of the day. The light is going to bring everything back into the balance that it should be at the end of the day. That's what's going to happen, or the end of the cosmic day, I should say. But so, it's not one simple answer, because also through our journey, through all of this, this lifetime and other lifetimes, and we also are experiencing and developing in other ways ourselves too, new experiences and things like that. So, it's just not one thing, it's many, many, many different levels. But as far as the divine plan is concerned, okay, that is a cosmic thrust, if you will, okay, to bring things back into balance, into oneness and wholeness that originated from the eternal Father, eternal Mother, the God source, the original God source. That's the divine plan, is to, come back into that. So in that process, we also have our individual and collective journey that we're all going through, so then I guess, the next step then is to have um, an awareness of this. And that is why I will tell you, from the beginning, I will, share with you that, the guidance that came to say, never look at numbers. Don't look at numbers. Can't go by, oh, look how many people are coming. Not this, not this, not this type of spiritual center, because as I always say, the higher the vibe, the smaller the tribe, because the path is narrow. And there's a biblical quotation of that, where Jesus Christ said the path is narrow. And, many of us, that are here listening to this realize that the path is really narrow. There's not, a whole bunch of people that are coming here, even, their consciousness is not even in alignment with some of the things that we just, talk about, just, very simple things, much less going into the deeper dynamics. It's not like, it's like not even real, but the fact is that it is real. It is real. I heard this once, and that evil doesn't want you to know that evil exists. That was something I heard. Evil doesn't want you to know that evil exists. Now, do we walk around in fear, like, oh my goodness, there's evil in the world? No, 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 because we remember who we are. We are magnificent spiritual beings of light. We are empowered and imbued with great light. Okay. And in fact, when you are on this path and you truly, truly know who you are, I mean, you truly do. It's in your bones, it's in your DNA, I know who I am. My cosmic memory has come back. I am in the cosmic Christ, divine Machaya, consciousness. I'm a being of light. I remember I come from a high aeon. I remember I'm a co-creator, and my tribe. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Moses, Elijah, Zoroaster, Jesus the Christ, Buddha, Maitreya, all that light is part of my light tribe. Okay, I'm not doing this by myself. None of us are doing this by ourselves. We are connected to the myriad of angels and saints and ancestors. I mean, there's so much going on in the invisible world. There's so much going on. And that's where you have to tap into your inner sensing, your inner intuitiveness, your inner psychic, your ability, that sixth sense that you sense and feel and know that there's something else going on besides what I could feel and touch and taste and smell and hear. There's more going on, and that's the part that you want to absolutely develop, because it's calling you and saying there's so much more. So when you do this, you then are absolutely on your path of mastery. And just like the ascended masters that we're talking about, which, by the way, I do have them covered up at the moment with this white cloth, only because we were doing a showing. But I know something that you could see. Yeah, let's look right over there, that picture. Okay. All right. And it shows the actually, let me just show it to you. Okay. And you see some of the names of God is in Hebrew, which is the fire letters. And I'll explain that in just a moment, okay? And then what you see here is the rising of the phoenix. It is the symbolic of the rising again of the ascension of the many worlds that are part of the ascension process, including ourselves. And there goes the triangle, which is, or you could say the Trinity. All right. And that is, our world is a trinity. It is a triangulation. That's why there's always the threes. Threes play a very, very important role, because we are made as a trinity. And there you can see the Merkaba. That is our light vehicle that we travel, that you see in the most ancient of civilizations. They speak of that. So that is what we are part of, which just that picture alone just says how just absolutely cosmic, profound that is. And when you come to understand, when you awareness comes that you are like, wait a minute, I'm part of that. That's very empowering. That's like, you have like your tribe, behind you. And so you would not, okay, have any fear. You would not have any fear. And fear is a natural response. Fear happens for a reason. It protects us. It's like, don't go there, that's danger. And you have an alert. Of course it has its place, but you can go into the world fearlessly, in the sense that you're not going to fear an evil, because you know that what you have, okay, and what you're a part of way transcends that. Absolutely. And when you know this, and I've had this experience, when you absolutely know this, and let's just say, some being shows up on a cloud, or they come in a UFO, or whatever way they may come. The first thing that you're going to do is, I always say the Kadosh, 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 I don't know, Sabayoth, or just say, I am, the Christ light, or the Maitreya light, Yod He Vod He, the eternal Father, eternal Mother, some sort of prayer, whatever. That's who I am. Who are you? Okay. And if they cannot be in that vibration, they got to go. They got to go. There's nothing they could do. They got to go. There is a story of she was a nun. Her name is Saint Faustina. Faustina, Faustina, Faustina. Very interesting how I came across this. And I think I saw this on, I think you can see it on YouTube. But anyways, the history of this particular nun, and there was another nun too that they were mystics. I can't remember the other one's name, but she's pretty famous too. But Saint Faustina, just really quickly, she did something called Divine Mercy, and that is the picture of Jesus the Christ, where you see like a red ray, and a white ray coming out from the heart. That had to do with her experiences, where she was a mystic, had these experiences. And what she really did, she prayed. She prayed for all those souls, the ones that were mean and, terrible and so forth. I mean, she just came from to pray for them. That was what she did. And so it was called, I think it was called Divine Mercy. Divine Mercy. And she was having these conversations with, Jesus Christ, and saying, you're going to get a lot of, people upset. I would say people, beings upset. They're like, yeah, we want these people, to not be released or forgiven or anything like that, because we got them. We got them. And she was like, no, I'm praying for them. And yeah, she was, a lot of times, like, accosted like, wait, what are you praying for these people for? And she said, I'm praying for them. And they got all upset, and they were like really mad, and they were trying to come after her. But guess what? She knew who she was, and she was like, leave. And they had to leave, frustrated, but they have to leave. And that's saying that we're going to be running into something like that. That's a unique experience with Sister Faustina, but it just gives an example that when you truly know who you are and what you were a part with, okay, that you have no fear. And the other part too is that we are eternal beings. So we are on this continuum here now. We are all, if you're listening to this, we are all part of this divine plan. We are part of the spiritual hierarchy. Things have come into our life to make us aligned, to be here in this moment, to be talking this topic at the level that we are, because there is a part of us that chose that we needed to be here for our higher service, for our soul development, for whatever promise we've made, whatever partnerships we have. Okay, we are here to do that. That's what's more real. That's what's more real, okay, than the craziness that's going on in the world. So if you are aware, okay, how can you participate in the craziness of the world? You have to then now put most of your energy. Of course, we have to live and survive. We have to work. We have to, just, pay bills and all of that. That continues. But we have this other side that is more pressing, if you will, that we must pay attention to. And for people like us, it requires that we must, not like, oh, do you want to do it? It's like, you must, because there's that soul part of yourself that's driving you in this direction is for a reason. It's because you were needed. One, you are needed, very important. Okay, that you need it. You are part of the awakening of the planet. Okay, it's good for us to come together, bind together, do whatever it is. And no matter that other people understand it or not, it doesn't matter, is that you understand it and you know it. And then you turn around and say, hey, you know what? I'm not the other one. There's lots of other people that are having this same experience, this same urge, this same tendency. And I have to be authentic to that. I have to be authentic to myself. We embrace the fact that we are light workers, we are star seeds, okay, whichever you want to call it, mystics, healers, psychics, whatever you want to call that, however you want to identify yourself, okay, but we are here to assist the planet, okay, in the ascension, and ideally, as with less trauma as possible. And the more we can come together, and especially those that are awake and remember who they are and the power we hold when we do come together, okay, and put our intentions in, like when we do, I'm going to do another one doing the names of God specifically to avert war. We could have had a civil war that was very real. That was very, very real. People don't realize it was this close to some horrible, horrible things happening in the beginning of this year. And it was just by a thread, okay, how things shifted. I can't help but feel that we had something to do with that when we came together as a powerful family of light, that those names of God held a higher world vision, shifted that timeline. And of course, this goes with all the others around the world that are doing the same thing too. But that point, or that decision that you make can be just that tipping point, to put things in another direction. And there is no doubt, no doubt in my mind whatsoever, okay, that those names of God that we did when I did, pull everybody together to hold a higher intention, okay, of not war, of, the higher thought form, because it was right in my face. There was going to be a civil war. And I remember the Divine Mother was like right there. It was going to be really tragic, really bad. And that shifted. Same thing happened years ago, a potential, terrorist attack again after 9/11. It came so clearly. And that was my first time really experiencing the fact, understanding that we do have some power where we could shift outcomes, we can shift timelines. And I was just really upset, like, why would I be given a premonition? There's nothing I could do about it. And that's when it's like, maybe you can do something about it. I prayed for it not to happen. And it didn't happen. It was the time when why we take our shoes off in the airport is because the guy from Heathrow Airport in England was putting explosives in the bottom of his shoes, and his intention was to take the plane and dive it into an American consulate. I saw it plain as day, and I was like, and then I just remember the next day when they talked about it and they intercepted it, and so it did not happen. It did not happen. So we are on our individual, what our individual path, but we're also part of a collective path. And so when we, from our higher heart of compassion, just like the ascended masters who are still around, they could, they could be doing other stuff. Okay, there's like endless stuff, but they have chosen to stay to help everybody on this planet, humans, to ascend. That's their goal. They say, I can't leave, I'm going to stay, because that's our nature. It's like we have to help. We have to help. And so that's the same for us. Yeah, we, our own individual studies and, which is good. And we are to do that on our own individual path, but also to, we have a, a contribution to the collective. So as we work on ourselves, we're also contributing to the collective. And as we become the neutral observer, not engage, we're sending that energy for somebody to maybe wake up or maybe have a change of heart. Okay. And you said, when you said something about what is real, I got a thought of Israel, right? Beautiful. And Michelle says, I had a vision of a school shooting event that perfectly was avoided. Yeah, because these are thought forms. They're hanging around the planet. Okay, some are ancient. Some of them are so, I call them the ancient crusted thought forms. Those are like the continual wars, and then also too, there's a thought form. Oh my gosh, it's so ancient and corrupted, male, female dynamic, where this suppression of the divine female, that is a thought form that's out there. And so that is why you have people that are out there saying, bringing in the higher thought forms, or, addressing those old thought forms that no longer, serve. They never did, but let's just say they definitely don't serve now. And so we have to remember the power of our own mind, our own thoughts, our own prayers. We have to use our spiritual tools available to us. And there's many that are out there, but the one that's easiest for me is using the names of God. I mean, Moses parted the Red Sea with that, and many other, the prophets or the mystics and so forth, they have used these sounds, because sounds create. So what I was showing before with the Hebrew letters, and you see them like fire, those are the fire letters or light letters, if you want to call them. And there's 5 There's five sacred languages on our planet, and that is Hebrew, Tibetan, Egyptian, Sanskrit, and Chinese. And when you see them, there's like how they're written, you'll see like there's a top section of them. And that's to note the fire, that it came from the higher worlds, and that this is a tool that we can use. Okay, whenever you see ceremony, you also see singing. The voice is so important. So we can mentally, hold the higher thought forms. Envisioning, we have our God-given power of visualization. We must use it. We must use it. Okay. And we have the ability, okay, of sound. Okay. So even singing, singing, uplifting, singing, we've had services here at the Cosmic Center where we were singing very holy sounds. And there's a couple, I think there's a YouTube of one of them where I actually turned around to see if there was somebody standing behind us singing with us. It was harmonic, and it was like maybe five of us singing, but it sounded like it was 20 people, and that was the angels. I turned around. It was just unbelievable that we had this energetic, this harmonic came in with the singing of these sacred songs, and that was the angels. So sound is really very, very, very important. Sound is very important, and I'm using more and more of singing. We have to get back into our singing. We have to get back into our music. We have to get back into our nature. We have to get back into our organics to remember who we are, the power that we hold. And then we connect to nature. We connect to other sentient beings of light. The connection becomes stronger. Okay, we could feel the presence of our family light around us. We talk to them. I always say, my best friends don't have bodies. They don't have physical bodies. They're loving, they're supportive. They understand when others don't. They understand what others don't. So we are very, very fortunate, to be where we are right now, more than any money in the world, because all the money in the world are not going to save people from stuff that's going to come down the pike. Okay, what's going to save you is your consciousness, is your awareness. And real briefly, I will share with you, okay, in the times of Noah. So why did I bring that up in this particular lecture? Okay, we're part of the divine plan. We have something to do, and each of us are so important, okay, because only you carry that puzzle piece. Okay, only you have your unique puzzle piece. Only you could do what you could do, right? And when we all come together, it's like we're putting in our little puzzle pieces and together, and we have the big picture, and we have the thrust to move forward in the direction that we want of the divine plan. Okay, so that's so important that if you have the thought to do something or what, do not ignore it. As you walk in this path, you become more in tuned, more aware, more intuitive, and I've always felt the earth, okay, because many of us are here for the earth will always let us know what to do. Always will help and guide us, as well as our family of light. We're always guided, and we're always divinely protected. We always are. And if you absolutely know that, and you believe that, and you just know it in your bones, it always is the case. That's why, like, sometimes the challenges are out there. How is this going to happen? I don't know how it's going to happen. And we all have that, like, oh my gosh, the struggle, the struggle, the struggle. But then you look back and it's like, but you've always been okay. Like, that's right. Before, then you begin to like say, I don't care what the struggle is. I know everything is going to be okay. And everything becomes a lot easier when you're like, oh yeah, I know it looks this way. The perception looks this way, but I know it's going to be okay. And in the end, it always is. So the days of Noah. So real quick, just before COVID, a lot of things happened just before COVID, the guidance to come in and get our technology together, which when COVID did come, we had seamlessly moved right into our technology because it was already prepared, not having a clue that something like this would be happening. So that was one thing that happened. And that's when I was in Nashville, that download came. But about, I want to say it's a couple of weeks. I want to say 3 weeks, maybe 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I had a very significant dream experience, and I saw an arc, and it was huge. It was like gigantic, and it was like, I believe it was our planet. I believe it was planet Earth, and it's like by a seashore. And I had a guide that was telling me about this ark, and actually went inside the ark. It was full of light. That's how I know it's coming from the higher worlds. And I was looking down the galley. I could see the porthole. And so he's showing me like how you would go on a cruise ship, the cabins, like to the right. And what he said, many people can live here. Many people can live here. That's what he said. So that was basically the dream experience. And when I woke up, I was like, arc. What does that mean? Something, whatever. But, I just said, okay, I'm just going to, how can I not remember that? It was such a traumatic experience. So anyway, after that, COVID came and the whole thing like that, and a lot of other divine synchronicities, and everybody gets their guidance in different kind of ways. A lot of people get it with the divine synchronicities, that's one of the ways of communication, is the divine synchronicities, and that, a topic just keeps on showing up, pay attention. And so this whole thing with the ark brought me to a lot of information regarding the days of Noah, which was Jesus the Christ that spoke about the days of Noah. He said those things will come around again. And then that led me to other things that led me to other things that led me to other things that, came very clear, is that we are now in a very special time. I would say this whole decade is very, very special. And it could be what some people would call, the tribulation. Clearly, this humanity has just disregarded, the earth. The Hopi and Native Americans have spoken about this, is that, hey, if you don't take care of the earth, it's going to revolve. It's going to revolt. It's going to, she could shake us off like fleas, and who would blame her? But then you say, oh, wow, well, let's put this together. Remember, we have our individual and collective ascension. Okay, and so for those that are on, if there's any time to be in the path of righteousness, this would be it, in my opinion. This decade. Okay, we're in it. And the earth and the earth changes. I think we are now at a point where we're past trying to be preventive. We can maybe have, a little influence on it, like some patching up, but we now are going to be guided, okay, as to what to do to address these changes that are forthcoming. And, let's put it this way, change is part of our life anyway. Change is part of life anyway. So nothing is forever in this life. It's all temporary. So it isn't like, something new. It's not a new concept. But we're just talking about changes. The Arctic is changing. The planet is going through a cycle of change, through a cycle of evolution. Okay. And this is the time, okay, that we light workers said we're going to show up and assist. And as you walk this path, you will 100% be guided. You'll be guided what to do. I always kind of laugh a little bit. You have these people, the government with, inside the caves and, all this so-called secret stuff, like for survival and stuff like that. None of that crap is going to work if you're not in alignment with a higher attunement. It's not. It's just not. You could plan all you want. Man can plan all he wants, but, the divine is going to come and unfold the way it's going to unfold. So what the best thing that you could do is align yourself with the divine. That's what you can do. And then that way is what's going to give you, where you're in the right place at the right time, or you get some sort of insight. You're divinely protected. Absolutely 100%. You're divinely protected. You're given the higher guidance, all these things now, as you seek and as you hold that unconditional love in your heart, as you try to make a difference in the world, you are divinely, like in this what I call a divine um immune system, where you're enveloped, and even if things come in, it's always mitigated somehow. Somehow it's mitigated. Somehow you get to move forward, even though the challenges are there. And, I'm just so used to it. I just wait and meander around it. Nothing is like really simple. Nothing is like, oh, look, I did it's all simple. No, it's always a challenge. But I continue through the challenge and get to the bottom line. Because there's always this interruption that wants to come, doesn't want you to be successful, doesn't want you to ascend, doesn't want you. Just be aware that it's there. Like, go, get out of here. I'm busy. Okay. And then when you're really clear, okay, you're not bothered as much. You're definitely not. You're not bothered as much. So you can put your focus on your own spiritual development and assisting the world. Okay, that's it. And these days of Noah, these next 10 years, in my opinion, are going to be, time of reckoning for the collective humanity, but out of that is going to come phenomenal things, like new inventions, and there's good stuff, it's like, oh, it looks real dark, but hey, if you have that light within you, you shine your own light, you could get beyond that tunnel and you'll get to the light, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be beautiful. So always keep that as, that's my shining star. That's my goal. Even though you see things, hear things, what's going on. Oh my goodness, this, that, and the other. That you'll meander through all of that you'll be divinely guided, and you'll get to that other end. You'll get to that new age. You'll get to that golden age that is coming in, and they can't be stopped. And now I think that we could do so much now, so much, because more and more of us are awakening. And the more we can awaken right now, the easier it's going to be for the collective ascension, the easier it will be. So this is not the time to rest and say, I'll do it later. No, it's like all hands on deck. This is not a test. The time is now. The time is now. Okay, so, and yes, it's so honored to be alive. Look what we get to do. If this doesn't hone in your mastery, what will, right? Right? This is just a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. It really is. And to make a difference. So with that, I want to play a meditation for everyone here. And I haven't played this in a while, but let's do this together right now as the family of light. See, there's 5 of us all together. And you could say that the Christ is right in the midst of us. Here we go.
As the divine child of the universe that you are, remember that you are the co-creator of this thing called life on earth. Know that whatever you imagine, whatever you visualize about your life will become what your life will be like. Because tomorrow is what you believe, think, feel, say, and do today. Imagine everyone, including yourself, your family, your friends, all people of the world, merging with their higher selves, their God selves, and living, loving, and co-creating from the I Am presence. Imagine what your life will look like if all of the good you have ever wanted for this planet is now manifested. Imagine all world leaders, heads of corporations and organizations coming into alignment with their higher selves and living and leading from the I Am presence. Imagine how good it feels to have people of integrity running every country, city, store, corporation, and organization exactly the way that is in the highest and best good of all concerned. Imagine these people to be everything that good people can be. See them implementing policies and changes that you desire. Imagine a world full of people taking personal responsibility for the creation of our new world. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Imagine everyone in the world sharing all of the wealth of the planet. Imagine clean and renewable sources of energy and modes of transportation for all people. Imagine every human being as healthy, happy, and wealthy. Imagine the earth being healed and vitalized. Imagine clean air and clean oceans. Imagine a world filled with peace, because the entire world population has remembered that peace must first come from within, and that love is all you need. Imagine that everyone on earth has all of the skills, knowledge, courage, wisdom, and strength they need to become the positive changes they wish to see in this beautiful world. Imagine your life filled to overflowing with all of your highest and best good. Imagine forgiving everyone in your life, and especially you, for all real or imagined sins. Imagine that you are filled with love and approval for yourself, and that you are loving yourself without any conditions whatsoever. Imagine that you are unconditionally loving to all, and that you only attract unconditionally loving people into your life. Imagine your personal relationships are filled not only with unconditional love, but with support and understanding of who you are and who you have come here to be. Imagine that you are filled with love, and imagine this love expanding and expanding and expanding and beginning to encompass all that is around you. Imagine loving yourself enough to always do the things you know you need to do. Imagine yourself embracing your magnificence. Imagine living a life filled with joy, peace, and bliss that comes from being loving, peaceful, and joyful at all times. Imagine accepting that you are indeed the divine child of God, and that you are capable of doing, being, and having anything you set your mind to. Imagine you being surrounded by help, surrounded by love, and surrounded by guidance. Imagine Imagine being in a joyful, passionate, and mutually beneficial relationship with your divine complement. Imagine that every day, in every way, your life is better and better and better. Imagine being so strong that nothing can disturb your peace of mind. Imagine great personal success for you and the ones you love. Imagine always being happy and grateful for all things. Imagine living from your heart and not from your head. Imagine a life free from worry, illness, jealousy, grief, and pain. Imagine yourself no longer making assumptions. Imagine being courageous and fearless at all times. Imagine always being impeccable with your word. Imagine never taking anything personally. Imagine that you always have more than enough time to do all the things you wish to do. Imagine the light within becoming so bright that you are a beacon of light to all who see you. Imagine all of your present and future dreams manifested. Imagine being paid large sums of money for doing the work you love and have passion for. Imagine an abundant bank account filled to overflowing and always being replenished. Imagine that you are debt-free and you have more money than you can ever possibly spend, even after you have shared so much of it with those less fortunate than you. Imagine how easy life is once you remember to be a conscious co-creator. Imagine, 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 imagine all the people sharing